Hey everyone, off the mic Sports Network here. Brown's Thoughts here. We've got a. Oh, sorry again. Hey everyone, Brown's Thoughts on the Off the Mic Sports Network. We've got a Thursday night game. Browns Steelers tic tac toe, as my family would always say. Dad, if you're watching this, love you. I'll always be in my head for this game. Thursday night game. Mike Tomlin's not good in these games. It's going to be interesting to see how the Browns play after getting humiliated by the Saints, who are a bad team coming off of the bye. Saints had fired their head coach. Like, you guys already heard me talk about that. I really can't get a gauge on this game, to be honest with you. Steelers are coming off an emotional win against the Ravens. They're in first place in the division. Mike Tomlin doesn't do well playing down to competition. He doesn't do well on Thursday nights. This is going to be a weird game. I venture to guess, just based off the way some of this is going, that I think the Browns might actually win this game and get the third win of the season. And that's not going to make a lot of people happy in the fan base, because a lot of people just want to tank because this season has just been such a disaster that you want to go get the next draft pick. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, about what's going to happen in this offseason, because there seems to be a lot of momentum towards let's draft a quarterback. And I don't know if the quarterback is there. I said I would be okay with Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Dion, his father's going to let him go to Cleveland. That's aside from the point, but I also don't think Shedeur is even at the level of some of the other prospects from the previous years, CJ Stroud, you name it, whoever. But anyway, I'll get to that in a second. So I think the Browns have a really good chance to win this game. It's a snow game. That concerns me because that leans running game, and Nick Chubb is still trying his damnedest to get back from that nasty knee injury. Browns' offensive line's been terrible. I really don't know how much confidence I have in that against the Steelers' strong defensive line. But just looking historically, Mike Tomlin, I think, is 0-7 on Thursday Night Football against division opponents, which is just an insane number to think about. A guy who's won a Super Bowl, been coaching for almost 2 decades, and he's 0-7 on Thursday Night Football against his own division. That really is crazy to think about. But so the big note here that I want to talk about is not so much about the game, it's about the future. And reporting came out throughout the day. Started with Adam Schefter early in the morning on ESPN, basically saying Kevin Stefanski's not really in danger of losing his job, because it seems like that's been trending the direction considering how bad this season has gotten. And then Ian Rappaport, within the last hour or two, in the build-up to this game, basically said Kevin Stefanski's safe. He's not losing his job. He's going to be the coach of the Cleveland Browns in 2025. And listen, I've been going back and forth on this for the last couple weeks, because I've always been a flag bearer of the Kevin Stefanski fan club, because even though he record-wise is a 500 coach, the guy's a 2-time coach of the year. He took a team to a playoffs that had to start 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the same season. They won a playoff game. They hadn't done that since I was a child. Like, they hadn't done that in this iteration of the Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski was responsible, and he's been responsible for the best stretch of Browns football that I've ever seen, maybe in my lifetime. Because the glory days of, the early 90s, and I wasn't alive when they were going to AFC Championship games under Marty Schottenheimer. So, he's a good coach. It's just this season's completely gotten away from him. That Deshaun Watson decision, and you Deshaun defenders that I call you, you want to come up in my mentions and basically tell me that he's not the problem. Jameis Winston literally came in the next week and threw for 300 yards. They couldn't score because their offense, and the structure of it stinks, and it's based around him. But Jameis Winston has executed that offense in 2 starts in 2 out of his 3 starts better than Deshaun Watson did for the first 7 this season. So you can't tell me that they shuffled the offensive staff, they changed the offense, they did all these things. You can't tell me that Deshaun Watson isn't the source of a lot of issues with this team. So that leads me to this next thing of, okay, a lot of people in the build-up to the New Orleans game and also after the New Orleans game thought Kevin Stefanski might be at risk of losing his job because of how bad this season has gone. And the interesting note that Mike Vrabel, former coach of the year, who's going to be very much in demand, has been a consultant on this staff this year, Ohio guy, went to Ohio State, in the building, travels with the team, is visibly seen on the sideline pumping up guys, and is kind of coaching during the game. And it makes you think, oh, are the Browns maybe going to make a move because they want to get a leg up on trying to get a Mike Vrabel brought into their building because he's already there? But now with this report of Ian Rappaport and also backing up Adam Schefter, it makes you wonder, okay, is this a now thing? Could this change? Because we've seen Jimmy Haslam, the owner, be very impulsive. And if the season doesn't go the right way, maybe they make a change. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm inclined to believe that they're going to stay with Kevin Stefanski because it is very hard to get good coaching with the Cleveland Browns. And this is the best coach that the Browns have had in the 25-year iteration of this new version of the Cleveland Browns. Let's just put it there. So what does the future look like? Because I've talked about it on this channel that I'd be okay with Shedeur Sanders. No matter how I feel about him, he's a solid quarterback. He can throw the ball. He's better than Deshaun Watson. Cam Ward's fine. He's fun to watch. I've gotten to meet Cam a couple of times when I was covering the Pac-12, covering Washington State. Now he's at Miami. And he was in the Heisman race, but he's not going to win it. But the question becomes, do the Browns want to take a quarterback? Because clearly the quarterback of their team, unless you think Jameis Winston's going to be your bridge guy, the quarterback of this team in 2025 is not on this roster. So what I think should happen, if you're going to progress and continue on through this season and into the offseason and into 2025, into the draft and all that process, a couple things need to happen. Number one, you're keeping Kevin Stefanski. This is number one, you've got to fire Andrew Berry. That's the first thing you've got to do. I know that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, and I've lobbied for Andrew Berry with some of the roster construction and some of the decisions, but his draft picks have been terrible. And if they're going to have a high draft pick, I don't want him taking the next guy. Like Jed Wills has been a mess. Greg Newsom's been hit and miss. None of the guys, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, which a lot of people thought should have been picked to begin with, JOK may never play again. He had a pretty serious neck issue that popped up before the bye. So that's a concern. But yeah, none of these picks, and then obviously the legacy-defining move of Andrew Berry's career is trading for Deshaun Watson. Whether that was influenced by Jimmy Haslam or not, that's on Andrew Berry. So if somebody's going to lose their job, a lot of people were thinking full house cleaning. A lot of people were thinking fire the coach. If somebody's going to lose their job, it is going to be Andrew Berry, because you cannot have a guy who has consistently whiffed on so many picks and then obviously having that legacy-defining trade of trading for the worst statistical quarterback in the NFL and then changing the offense and doubling down on it, and it's still not working. And then other people coming into your building and are being able to execute the offense better than the guy that you paid $230 million and traded six draft picks for. I don't think Andrew Berry should be around, even if he just got extended. You go find a new GM. If you want to reboot the whole thing, okay. But I don't know if this team can really afford to start over when they have a really good coach in their building. So if you're going to go with that, I would say Andrew Berry's gone. You need to get rid of Ken Dorsey. You need to get rid of some of you need to get rid of Bubba Ventrone. Special teams has been a disaster. Jim Schwartz is probably going to get a pass, but they need to make staff changes if Kevin Stefanski is going to continue being around. And then in terms of the quarterback, I don't think the quarterback that the Browns want is in this draft. Shedeur Sanders is going to probably be the first guy off the board. I don't think he's close to any of the top guys that have been taken in the last couple years. He might be better than Bo Nix, but Bo Nix is playing pretty damn well. He's not better than Caleb Williams. He's not better than Jaden Daniels. He's not better. I don't think in the long run he'll be better than Drake May. I think Drake May will actually turn out to be a pretty good player. And I absolutely do not think he's better than C.J. Stroud. There's no way in hell that that's possible. So if you're not in that case, then I don't think Cam Ward's kind of like a tick below some of these other guys, Carson Beck, Jalen Milroe. If you're the Browns, why waste a top pick on a quarterback when if you're going to bring back Kevin Stefanski, there is a quarterback in the NFL who had his best season statistically with Kevin Stefanski as his offensive coordinator. That is Kirk Cousins with the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins is not going to be the quarterback of the Falcons in 2025. Michael Penix Jr. is going to be the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons in 2025. Like, that's happening. So if you're the Browns, and in this scenario that I'm proposing, you're the new GM, it's not going to be Andrew Berry, I'd make that trade to Atlanta, and I'd make that happen. I don't know what the financial ramifications of it would look like, but I would have Kirk Cousins potentially be a bridge the gap type of guy as a veteran. Because at this point, you really can't afford to start over with a rookie quarterback unless the quarterback is like so ridiculously talented that you can't pass him up. And I do not think that Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or any of these other guys in the draft are worth it. If the Browns are in a position up near the top and have a terrible season, I would absolutely consider taking Travis Hunter. Because Travis Hunter is going to be one of the best players, and he can play both sides of the ball. He's probably going to win the Heisman Trophy. So if you want to have a weapon like that added to your team, that's absolutely something I would consider at the top of this draft. Outside of that, there is nothing there in this draft that's even worthwhile at the quarterback position. And maybe there's some wide receivers in this draft. Like, you got a Luther Burden, you got some talented pieces as well. But there is nothing like remotely close to what we saw the last couple of years, specifically at the quarterback position. So that's where I really think this thing is at. If we are led to believe what is going on and what has been reported by NFL Network, Ian Rappaport, and also ESPN and Adam Schefter, the Browns are going to keep Kevin Stefanski. They're going to keep him around. And then I think you should just go down and try to get a quarterback. Overhaul this system again. Try to figure something out. Bring in a coordinator that more aligns with him. I don't think it's going to be Alex Van Pelt because he's now with a different team. And in hindsight, hindsight's always 2020, but hindsight's always 2020. But, it really is just, it's kind of just odd watching this season, seeing where this group was last year. So anyway, I will talk to you guys real soon. Hopefully here's a Browns win that we might be talking about a little bit later. We'll have some post-game thoughts potentially after that, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.